אז קטאר היא מדינה מורכבת, לא מדינה פשוטה, אבל היא לא מדינת אויב, ורבים משבחים אותה. אספר לכם כמה עובדות שידהימו אתכם. אני הולך לפוצץ את הבלון התורן, את הפייק פרשה התורנית על קטאר.
This is one of the hottest issues in Israel right now. Qatar, funders of Hamas, owners of Al Jazeera, and manipulators of Western education at the center of a political firestorm. Instead of labeling them as a hostile enemy, Prime Minister Netanyahu says Qatar is not an enemy state, and that's confused a lot of people. It's divided others, and now it's become a national scandal. But welcome to the real Middle East. It's not clean. It's never black and white. It's dirty, complicated, loaded with deception, and sometimes you've got to work with the devil to save lives. And on this episode, I'm going to expose the truth behind these headlines, break down what Qatar's really doing, and explain why Netanyahu might be playing the smartest hand on the board. So I want to start with this. Qatar is not a neutral player. They are the chief financial backer of Hamas, quietly. They hosted Ismail Haniyeh and other luxury leaders in their hotels for years. They bankroll Al Jazeera, a 24/7 anti-Israel psyop disguised as journalism, and they've dumped over $1.5 billion into elite American universities, including Georgetown, Northwestern, Texas A&M, funding anti-Israel curriculum under the guise of Middle East studies. So why would Bibi say Qatar is not an enemy state? Because this is war. And in war, you don't always get to partner with who you want. You use the one you've got. And right now, Qatar is the only country with real leverage over Hamas. They're the only ones in contact with the hostage holders. Netanyahu knows that. Mossad knows that. His advisors know that. And while it's ugly, it's effective. And you don't slam doors on the guy holding the keys, not until you've got your people back. And that's the way this works. And so I want to talk about what they're calling Qatar Gate or Qatar Gate. And now it's boiling over into a scandal. So two of Netanyahu's closest aides, Jonathan Urich and Eli Feldstein are under investigation for allegedly accepting money from Qatar. Not directly, but through a U.S.-based lobbyist. And the goal was to push pro-Qatari messaging into Israeli politics and media, potentially even inside the prime minister's office. That's what the papers are reporting in Israel. And that's a serious allegation, especially considering Qatar's role in funding Hamas and housing its leaders. And the fact that the Shin Bet, which is Israel's domestic intel agency, is running the investigation shows just how sensitive this case is. And it doesn't stop there. Netanyahu recently moved to replace the head of the Shin Bet. For what? For the failure to catch October 7th. And just as this probe gained traction, massive protests were triggered and accusations that he was trying to obstruct this investigation started flooding. And so critics are screaming cover up. But here's the reality. Netanyahu is in the middle of a war. He's in the middle of negotiating hostage releases, and he's dealing with very intense layers of domestic pressure while trying to keep operational channels open. And when he says Qatar isn't an enemy, he's not praising them. He's protecting the only tactical leverage he's got in this moment. And that's where I come out with that. And so why is Bibi using Qatar? Why is Bibi using them? Because Qatar is the only player in the region with both the money and the influence to pick up the phone and get Hamas to the table. That's what this has always been about with these guys. It's about the money. And they host Hamas leaders. They bankroll their operations. This makes them that one pressure point Israel can still press. And right now, Israel's top priority is rescuing hostages. Children, women, Holocaust survivors still trapped in Gaza. And if Bibi burns that bridge too soon, Those negotiations collapsed, so instead, he's holding the line, leveraging Qatar's access while keeping his powder dry. This episode of the Aaron Cohen Show is brought to you by Merkava Coffee. This is the official coffee of the Aaron Cohen Show. When I served in the IDF, coffee wasn't just coffee, it was fuel. And in the special operations world, there were nights with no sleep, missions that stretched for days, and no room for mistakes. Coffee was serious, and it kept us sharp, locked in, and ready to move. And let me tell you something, I still take it seriously. And that's why Merkava Coffee, strong, no nonsense, battle-tested, no fluff, no gimmicks, just good, bold coffee for the people who need to be at their best. And if you start your day like I do, like it's a mission, you know why this matters. Hit the link down in the description and grab yourself a triple order and help keep the lights on and support the Aaron Cohen Show. Appreciate you guys. So I want to hit the intelligence a little bit more, some context on this wartime strategy. This isn't new. Back in the early 2000s, Mossad used back channels through hostile countries to pull off some of the most successful special operations in Israeli history. Many of them still classified. And why? Because those back channels gave us access. Dirty? Yes. Dangerous? Absolutely. Effective? 100%. And in my opinion, that's exactly what Bibi's doing. He's not giving Qatar a pass. He's using them. Mishtamesh b'hem. And he's done it before. This is the same prime minister who authorized more high-value strikes on Hamas targets than any other Israeli leader. He understands the threat, but he also understands that leverage. And remember, he's surrounded by some of the top security and intelligence minds in the world. Now, I want to talk about what I'm calling that Qatar triangle. And I want to explain how Qatar dominates this war without firing a single bullet. And I call it the Qatar triangle. First point, money. Qatar directly funds Hamas, routes, humanitarian aid that gets diverted to terror tunnels and rockets. Two, that media that they control and own Al Jazeera, which spreads anti-Israel propaganda to billions in the Middle East and around the world. Weaponized journalism day and night. Al Jazeera's pounding. And three, ideology. $1.5 billion into elite universities in the U.S. And that money buys professors, endows departments, funds anti-Israel student activism, all these whack jobs we've seen, and turns campuses into these propaganda labs. This is what I call soft power jihad. And Qatar's been running it unchecked for years. So let's talk about what happens after the hostages are home. And this dust finally settles on this one. Hamas is being cornered, and they're about to give them up. That's the word on the street. Qatar's hands are soaked in blood. And when their temporary usefulness as a negotiator ends, Israel and the West needs to hold them accountable. That's where I come out. That means sanctions on the Qatari financial institutions tied to terror. That means exposing and isolating their propaganda machine, Al Jazeera. It's time to stop being polite about this freedom of speech nonsense. That means investigating and defunding their influence operations on college campuses. Trump's already started throwing them all out. And that means putting Qatar on notice. If you go back to terror, you're going to pay the price. And this war may be about Gaza today, but tomorrow it's about information, influence, and more terror around that corner. So I want to close this out with this. I want to be very clear here. Netanyahu isn't getting soft on Qatar to save his ass. He's keeping his eye on the mission, in my opinion. That mission is hostages and saving lives. It's bringing our people home. And if that means tolerating a corrupt, terror-backing state for now to get hostages out alive, that's what a wartime leader does. I want to say this very clearly. Stay with me on this one. Qatar הם לא חברים שלנו. Qatar is not a friend. They are not a partner. They are the arsonist pretending to be the firefighter. But right now, they're the only one with a hose. And Netanyahu's betting that when that fire is out, he and Trump will be holding them accountable. And that's where I'm at with that. So let me close out Qatargate with this and what you're not being told. Israel isn't using Qatar because it trusts them. It's using them because it has to. Qatar is the only country with direct lines to Hamas leadership. Nobody else can get these guys on the phone. And they control the cash, their safe houses, even in Turkey, and the negotiating table. And that makes them the one pressure point that can move the needle on finalizing a hostage deal and getting every one of them home. This isn't about alliances. It's about leverage. It's not about diplomacy. It's about battlefield, counterterrorism, calculus. Netanyahu knows this world. He knows Qatar is playing both sides. Trust me. But as long as they're holding the key to getting Israeli women and children out of Gaza, Israel's going to use that key. And when that door closes, Qatar's going to answer for every dollar they sent to terror. I guarantee you Trump's going to hold them accountable when the time is right. So let me know what you guys think. Is Netanyahu making a smart tactical play, or is he giving Qatar too much room to operate? Drop a comment below. Hit subscribe. Help support the show at the links in the description. And if you're a fan of the show, grab yourself a 3-pack of Merkava coffee. Official coffee of the Aaron Cohen Show. Every bag sold. Helps keep the lights on. If you don't drink coffee, help support the show. You can donate and join my sponsorship team. Hit the link in the description. Grab yourself a mini sponsorship package. They start at $25. Every one sold helps me to continue to combat that anti-Israel misinformation and propaganda that's out there, while bringing you guys no-nonsense, cutting-edge analysis of the Mideast, counterterrorism, and national security right here at home. I want to thank you guys for watching this one. I'm going to come back to Qatargate. This is how it really goes in the Middle East. I want to thank you guys for watching this one. I'm Aaron Cohen. You're watching the Aaron Cohen Show, and I will catch you guys on the next one.